We're Ariel.
And Michelle,
And
and
we're
we're
the
the
Board
Board
Game
Game
Tutors.
Tutors.
Today, we're doing our Just the Basics video, part 2, for the card game Good Cop, Bad Cop. So let's go ahead and get started on part 2.
All right. So here we've set up the table as if we were doing a 4-player game. That's the minimum number of players to play this game. It's 4 to 8, I believe.
That's right. And this is obviously a very condensed setup. It wouldn't normally be confined to the space. We're just doing this for the video purposes.
Okay, so here we have the lead investigator card, which is what it says on the other side. Lead investigator. So you give this card to the person whose turn it is, and that helps you keep track of whose turn it is, which is important. With some of the equipment cards, you need to know right then whose turn it is. So you want to try and remember to pass this to the next person whenever it's the next person's turn. And this card also helps you because on the other side, it tells you everything that you can do on your turn. So here we have part 1, which is take actions. You choose one of the following actions. And then part 2 is take aim. And we're going to go over that in a minute.
Okay. And we also want to just reiterate. So this is what it looks like at the beginning of the game. Everybody has 3 integrity cards face down that only you know what you are, and also 1 equipment card, which is dealt to you randomly at the beginning of the game. So to demonstrate this example, we're going to show you what our 3 cards are. So I'm going to flip over all these 3, but obviously you would check your cards secretively. You wouldn't show anyone else what your cards were at this point in the game at the beginning. So these are the 3 cards that you start out with. Not always, obviously. They're randomly assigned to you. So as you can see, I have 1 crooked, honest, and crooked. So that means, majority rules, I am a crooked cop with a very interesting beard and eyebrow pattern. Anyway.
He reminds us of a dwarf.
Yeah, he's a very interesting bald dwarf. Anyway, as opposed to the honest guy who kind of, like, he's trying to be Captain America or something like that. Anyway, so once you know what your 3 cards are, when you start at the beginning of the game, you put these cards down, face down, in front of you, and you can put them down in any configuration that you want. You could put it this way, you could put it this way, you could put it this way. Yeah, obviously, it doesn't matter what order you put it in. However, once you put it down, and you place them 3 cards all next to each other, like so, and you cannot change the orientation of these cards anymore. This card stays in this slot, this card stays in this slot, this card stays in this slot. You cannot move these cards. Because, like we said, people will be finding out slowly what 1/3 of your identity is, what 2/3 of your identity is, etc. So you need to keep these cards in the same place that people investigated you in. So if you want to, you might want to have a little bit of tactical consideration when you place certain cards in different places. So for example, if I had an agent card or a kingpin card, sometimes people are inclined to put the agent or the kingpin card, if they have it in their possession, as the middle card, because that seems to be the safest position because it's blocked by 2 other cards. Sometimes you might think, oh, let me put my agent or kingpin card on the corner, because people aren't going to grab that one first. They'll probably grab the middle one first. So there is some thinking behind what placement of the cards will be.
Also, you don't want to put it in the same spot every time. If you play with the same group of people, like, they might notice if you always put your kingpin on the far right if you have the kingpin. We know someone who tends to do that.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of easy to figure out whether they're the kingpin or not. So
yeah, you want to mix it up. You don't want to keep using the same spot. And so, yeah, that's that. All right, so those are our integrity cards for this game. So even though our integrity cards are face down, remember, for these examples, we are a crooked cop. So we know we are a crooked cop. We are defending the kingpin, protecting him from attacks from other players, and we are going after the agent and trying to shoot the agent twice, like we explained briefly in the previous video.
That would be how you would win the game if you're a crooked cop.
And also, just briefly, over here in the middle of the board, you'll see the stack of equipment cards that have not been dealt out to players. So that goes in a stack in the middle of the board. These wounded cards over here, which we'll discuss in a few minutes, and these gun cards. In a 4-player game, there are only 2 guns, so obviously there's only 2 guns for 4 people, so you have to keep that in mind.
Not everyone's going to get a gun, which isn't very thematic because you would think all the police officers have guns.
Yeah, so that's kind of funny. It's an underfunded police department, that's all we'll say. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to this action card, which is essentially the cheat sheet card. And like Michelle said, you'll hand this to each player. On this side, there's that wonderful picture of a gruff-looking lead investigator. That doesn't matter very much, obviously. You won't be looking at that side of the card mostly. And so when it is your turn, this card will be in front of you, and you will, like Michelle said, take the actions that you choose on this card, and then when your turn is over, play passes to the next player. It is their turn. Now they choose from these actions. So this is important because some of the equipment cards in the game, are specifically affected by whose turn it is and what different people are doing at any given time. So you need to emphasize to other players, you need to take this lead investigator card and make sure if it is your turn, it's in front of you. If your turn is over, you pass it to the next person. So it goes in a clockwise fashion. It would go to me first, not necessarily me first, but whoever the starting player is, so me, then it would go to Sam, then it would go to John, then it would go to Michelle, and then it would come back to me again, because it progressed all the way around the table. So Michelle is going to go over all the actions that you can possibly take in a game of Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Okay, so on your turn, you're going to choose one of these four things, and you can only do one of them. So the first option is you can investigate. View one face-down integrity card. So this means you can look around the table and see the other player's cards, look around and see which ones are still face down. Obviously, if they're face up, then you already know what they are, so you don't need to look at them. And then you can choose one card that belongs to another player and secretly look at it. So you want to make sure that you don't move it in such a way that other people can see, because only you are supposed to find out. So, like, let's say I was gonna investigate. Which card do you want to grab?
Let's see. Let's go to John's integrity cards over here. So you would take this card very, very carefully, slide it across the table. Don't let anyone see, and look. Oh, look.
Oh, we grabbed the kingpin.
I grabbed the kingpin card. So that was a very lucky draw, obviously, because as you can see over here among all the integrity cards, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 other integrity cards. I know I'm not the kingpin or the agent, so I just picked up the kingpin. So I found out who my boss is. Yay! So I know who I am going to protect this turn.
So you're in this game.
In this game.
So yeah, you're pretty lucky if you grab that on the first try. That speeds up the game for you.
So only we know this. No one else knows this. Do not show this by accident. Like, slide it all the way to yourself and shield it with your hands so you do not accidentally show somebody else. And then you take this card, you slide it back. Don't accidentally show it's red. Don't accidentally show it's blue or anything to anybody else. And you put it back to where it originally was in the first place. So in this instance, I now know who my boss is. I know who I'm protecting this game of Good Cop, Bad Cop. Games typically last, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes.
It says 10 to 20 minutes on the box, but It depends, obviously, on how the game goes and how quickly your group moves.
If you're a group of people, etc. So I know I am protecting John this turn because I am a crooked cop. And I now know that person or that person is the agent and possibly their accomplice, their honest cop accomplice.
Mm-hmm. And you never know for sure how many there are going to be on each side. It can be 3 against 1. It can be 2 against 2.
Yeah, the cards are dealt randomly. So in such a way that the agent and the kingpin are never the same person, because then everybody's trying to protect and kill the same person. That wouldn't make any sense. So the agent and the kingpin are always, by the way that we shuffle, which we'll show you in another video, that's always avoided. They're never the same person. But everyone else, these cards are dealt randomly. So normally, you'd have to look at all 3 of the cards to figure out what someone's affiliation was. But since I did the lucky draw and found the kingpin, that is now known. I know he's the kingpin because that overrules all his other cards, even if he had all honest. So that's that.
Okay, so that's investigate.
Let's investigate. Obviously, most of the time you're not going to investigate and find the kingpin or the agent. Normally you're going to find an honest or a crooked card. And like we said, you put it back and do exactly what I did.
Okay. One other option is you could draw 1 equipment card. If you have any face down integrity cards, turn 1 face up. So it's kind of like you have to pay a price in order to get a new equipment card. You have to look at your own cards and choose the one that you want to flip over to let everyone see.
So let's if you were choosing a card to flip over, you almost always never want to reveal the fact that you have an agent card or the kingpin card, because then everybody knows who you are. So that's usually not the best choice of action. Since I know I'm not the agent or the kingpin, I'm not terribly picky about what I reveal. I'm going to say, look guys, I'm crooked, because I revealed one crooked card. So I might do this just to show my kingpin friend, hey, I'm on your side.
Except they can't really tell because no
Yeah,
one can really draw a conclusion from only one card.
It's 1/3, yeah. So obviously, and something else we want to reiterate: you can't do investigate and equip, or arm, or any of the other options. You can only do one of these. So I revealed one card as a payment for getting a new equipment card. So I take the top equipment card off of the deck. I look at it in comparison with my other one. I am going to keep this one.
So obviously you'd want to read them and think about which one's more likely to be beneficial for you.
Right.
And then the card that you didn't use, you're going to put on the bottom of the draw pile and the bottom of the equipment deck.
Yes, the deck is fighting me, as you can see right here. It doesn't want to go up. Come on.
So you don't make a discard pile, you just stick it on the very bottom.
So you take that card, you put it on the bottom, you straighten up the deck because it got all messed up, just like that. And now it is ready. So I kept this equipment card. So that is an example of equip. You reveal 1/3 of your identity. Well, obviously, as the game progresses, you might have already revealed one card already. So basically, you reveal one of your cards in payment for getting a new equipment card or checking out a new equipment card, if nothing else.
And if all of your cards happen to already be face up, then you wouldn't need to turn a card face up because you couldn't. You would just do the other steps and leave them face up.
If all my cards are face up, like so, I would not have to pay by flipping over a card, because flipping over a card would then be not revealed.
Unrevealing it.
So that would not be right. Anyway, so that's equip.
All right. So then the next action that you have to choose from is arm. Pick up a gun. If you have any face down integrity cards, turn one face up. So just like with the equipment cards, you have to reveal a card unless all of your cards are already revealed.
So I am revealing my crookedness again. And I will pick up a gun, because that's what it says to do.
And so this is important because, like we said, there's a limited number of guns on the table.
You can only hold one gun at any given time. You cannot hold two guns. That would be just plain unfair. And so I pick up the gun, and like I said, I revealed one card. Now,
so then you put the gun in front of you. Now you've done your action. So the fourth option from actions is shoot, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's say that arm was the action you chose. You took the gun, you flipped over one of your integrity cards. Now we go to step 2 of your turn, and that's take aim. If you were holding a gun, you must aim it at any player other than yourself.
So you can't shoot yourself. And so basically I can choose one of the 3 other players to point my gun at, and I know I don't want to point it at the kingpin. Obviously, we've gotten too much information on this first turn, but we're demonstrating all the different possibilities of what you could do. So let's say I didn't know that was the kingpin. I could take this gun and point it at him from my perspective of me holding said gun. And now, obviously, there's a little bit of card overlap going on here, but that's okay. Just push this aside a little bit. So now you know this gun is in front of me. It's placed down in front of me. I'm pointing at the person that I'm going to shoot, and I say, I'm pointing at John.
So every time after you take an action, you can take aim if you have a gun currently. So you might aim your gun right now, and then it would go around. Everyone else would take a turn. It comes back to you. You might decide to shoot, or you might do a different action and then take aim at the end of that turn if you want to, or you can always leave the gun the way it was aimed. So the point when you always have the opportunity to take aim is after you take an action on your turn.
Yes. And so basically, let's say on my next turn I investigated him. I found out he was the kingpin. Okay, I don't want to shoot the kingpin. I am going to pick... who's sitting over there? I forget.
Sam.
Sam is sitting over there. So I say, I am re-aiming my gun at Sam. And then that would be my turn.
Yeah, so you always have the opportunity to do that as the second part of your turn after taking an action.
Right. So that's what happens with guns in terms of pointing said guns. Okay, now, next step, Michelle.
So the fourth action that you have to choose from is shoot. Fire your gun at the player at whom you are aiming, then drop the gun. So you never take aim and shoot on the same turn, because take aim was the last thing you did on your previous turn when you got the gun, or maybe you already had the gun last turn, but take aim is the last part of your turn. So if you want to shoot, you're going to have to shoot at the person that you're already aiming at. And if you want to change aim, you're going to have to do a different action, then change aim, then wait for your next turn to actually shoot.
So, for example, let's say I was pointing at Sam originally, then I pass the, I guess you'd call it like the first player marker or the
the lead investigator.
The lead investigator card. So this is the person whose turn it is right now. I'd pass it to Sam. He'd pass it to John after doing his action. John would do his action. He'd pass it to Michelle. Michelle would do her action. Then it would come back to me. Now that it is my turn again, after I armed myself and pointed my gun at the end of my turn, now I can go bang and bam and basically shoot Sam right now. Whenever you shoot somebody, they have to reveal all of their cards. And also, after I shoot, I immediately lose my gun. It goes back to the middle because I lost my grip on my gun. I don't know.
Yeah, it says on the card on the lead investigator card that you drop the gun after you shoot. So that's just part of the game.
After I shot. So I flip over Sam flips over his cards one by one. Oh look, he is the agent. I guessed right, I guess. Because remember, I am a crooked cop. So if the agent or the kingpin is ever shot, then they receive a wounded card because they have 2 lives, essentially. So as you can see here, there's the nice illustration of a guy reaching for a gun. His hand is bandaged and he's wounded. And then here is the text on the other side, and you must follow this whenever you are wounded.
So if you are the agent or kingpin, take this card the first time you are shot. Draw an equipment card when you take this card. You are eliminated when you are shot again, or you no longer hold the agent or kingpin card.
So, as a conciliatory prize for being shot for the first time as the agent or the kingpin, you would get 1 equipment card from the top of the deck. Look at that equipment card in comparison to the equipment card that you already have, and then same as with any normal equip phase, you would take equip action. You would take one of these cards. Obviously, like I said, you'd look at it, not just put it down like this, but you'd look at it, determine which one would help you the most, take the other one, and put it back into the deck. And let's see if it fights me again, like it did last time.
And of course, if you don't have an equipment card because you've used your equipment card, then you just take a new one and keep it.
Okay, and that would go on the bottom, like such. So that is what would happen. And so you would have this wounded card in front of you. Now, basically, it would be my job as a crooked cop and the kingpin's job as the kingpin to shoot that agent one more time, and the game would be over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say, for example, you didn't shoot the agent or the kingpin on your turn where you shot somebody. So let's say Michelle shot me, her husband, Ariel. You can't take things that personally in this game. Anyway, so let's say, for example, Michelle shot me. I would reveal all my cards, 1, 2, 3, that were not already flipped over. You would see I am a crooked cop due to my majority of crooked cards. So if you are a basic cop, you're a basic crooked or a basic honest cop, you are not subject to the 2 life rule, and so you are dead. So how are you dead? You turn your card sideways like so. I am no longer among the living. So I served valiantly in protecting my agent, and I died.
Actually, your kingpin.
Oh.
Protecting your kingpin.
That's right. When you play this game, you quickly lose track of, wait, am I a crooked cop or am I an honest cop? So if at any point during the game you've forgotten what you are, you can check your cards again. You just have to keep them in the same position, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And so there is one way that which we'll go over in detail, that you can actually be brought back into the game if you were killed. There's one of the equipment cards that could bring you back. But also, you can still end up winning if your team wins. It's still considered to be a win for you because you helped win.
You have a posthumous win, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So basically, if the agent does successfully kill the kingpin, then I win with her in memory, I guess.
Except you're crooked, so you would lose with the kingpin.
It's easy to lose track of things. So that's that.
All right. So that's what happens when someone gets shot. And so I think that the one thing we haven't really gone over is just that equipment cards can actually be used anytime in the game. It doesn't have to be your turn. It doesn't count as an action unless it specifically says otherwise, which it does in a very few cases. Normally, you can interrupt someone else's turn to play an equipment card. And in the next video, we're going to go over the details of all the different equipment cards, and we'll explain how all of those work.
But the first video that we're actually going to cover is actually how to set up the game, because obviously we didn't show you how to set up this game.
Right.
So we're going to do that next first.
And then after that, we'll go into the equipment cards. So
yeah, that's that. And also, something else that I forgot to mention when I died was the fact that when you die, your equipment card cannot be claimed by anyone else. And yes, the infamous equipment deck. Yes, okay, it worked. Okay, you lose your equipment card when you die. It goes to the bottom. The only way people could get your equipment card now is if they cycle all the way through the deck.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, that's that. And yeah, so I believe we covered everything. When I died, obviously, like I said, I don't have 2 lives. I would not get to draw a wounded card because I'm not a superhuman agent and a superhuman kingpin. So basically, I got shot, I'm dead. And yeah, I hopefully served my kingpin well. I did remember who I was now. So yeah, that's that. And also, let's see, was there anything else we wanted to cover? I don't think there was.
Yeah, so that's everything that you can do on your turn, and that's how the game progresses.
So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Board Game Tutors, for more regular updates from our video series regarding this game, Good Cop, Bad Cop, and all the other board games and card games that we will be covering. And yeah, we encourage all your feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. Please let us know if you have any comments, suggestions, clarifications, questions. And yeah, we'll make sure to address those as soon as we possibly can.
All right, thanks so much for watching.
Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.